Up and running. So if you're joining me and watching me on various platforms, we will say hello. And here we go. Just getting all the lives working across everything, and then we will be good to go. And here we are live on YouTube too. So welcome everybody. This afternoon, I'm going to be talking about 5 ways to find hot prospects on LinkedIn. I've got some slides to share. So if you're watching me on my LinkedIn, if you're watching me on YouTube, wherever you're joining, in the chat, say hi, say hello. I'll come back to you all. If I can't get back to you all live, I will get back to you all after I wrap up. So want to give you something really practical, really useful that you can implement and use. Nothing worse than going to one of those video lives and you commit your time and then you get nothing from it, right? So that's what we're going to be doing today. And by the looks of it, you're all here somewhere. So I can see that you guys are showing up, which is great. I'm just checking LinkedIn on the events, on the company page is working, and then we're going to go live. So do let me know where you're joining from. Hi, Sadia on LinkedIn there. I can see you. And I can see hi, Sarah from Sarah Chudley. Hi, Glenn. Hi, Liz. Hi, Kevin. So that's all brill there. So yeah, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to do a little, just bit of an intro for a little bit, just to make sure all the streams sync up, because we're live across like a ton of different channels today. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to show you 5 ways you can find your hot prospects. So we're going to be doing all of that fun stuff on LinkedIn today. So let's see who else has joined whilst we're waiting to get this set up. Hi, Liz, Kevin, Menage a Trois. Oh, from Seattle. Hi, Yassine. So yeah, it's brilliant that you're all here, and we'll get started in 1 more minute. We'll just wait for the LinkedIn company page, which is glitching out here on my screen, and then we'll do it. So just whilst we're getting started, one of the things that I think a lot of people find difficult with LinkedIn is the quirkiness of the platform. And I'm gonna kind of just try and make it simple as part of this. I'm going to show you some things that work and which don't work. So I'm gonna kind of walk you through them. I'm gonna walk you through how to do them. Some of them are a bit cheeky and a little bit naughty, but I'm gonna show you them anyway. Hi, Mark. Hi, Rowan. So all brill to see you there. Kickstarting this. For some reason, our LinkedIn glitch is on the company page is playing up, but we'll have this ready and fixed in a minute. So if you can just bear with me whilst the team just fix this, and then we should be good to go. LinkedIn has a very quirky live stream setup. And when you basically link all the sites up with LinkedIn, you have to put codes in. And the problem is sometimes the codes don't work. Yeah, I know. So you load up everything in and away you go, and it still doesn't work sometimes. So anyway, we're live on my LinkedIn profile, which is good. And we're here on LinkedIn, which is great. So everybody's on board. So let's kick this in. Please do ask questions in the chat. I'll keep an eye on the chats all the way through. Hi, Lloyd from Bryn House. And hi, Scott and Christos. So a lot of names I'm familiar with. So that's great to see you all here. Right. So let's just crack into this. This is what I'm going to do today. This is what I'm going to talk you through. Quick intro. If you've stumbled across me today on this video, I'll tell you who I am and a bit about it. Why LinkedIn's important. Not just why LinkedIn's important, but why is it more important than other channels maybe. That's where I think it is anyway. I'm going to show you 5 ways to find hot prospects. I'm going to share my screen, put my LinkedIn up, and show you how to do it. And then I'm going to talk to you, well, okay, you've got these 5 ways to find hot prospects, but what do you do now? It's great that you found them, but what do you do now? I'll tell you about a 30-day lead gen challenge and take any questions. That's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do it all in 40 odd minutes. So please do ask questions in the chat, but I'm gonna be as practical and as quick as I can to get this out there. If you want a replay of this, just message me or email me hi@maverick.io and I'll send you some more details. Okay, so if you've never met us before, Maverick, we're one of the UK's biggest social selling training and consulting companies. We help people sell through social media. That's what we do. We don't do anything else. We just help people sell through social media. So it's our core business of what we do. I started the business back nearly 10 years ago, and today we have a team of 30 plus 40 plus, I'm not sure, um, who work full time to help people sell, win clients, and do all that stuff. So that's who we are and what we do. Right. Why LinkedIn? Now, this is a really important thing for 2024. I am on every social platform, but if you're like me, if you're similar to me, I try and do all my socials myself. I get some help from my team, but I try and do them all myself because if I'm teaching people to social sell, it would be a bit hypocritical if I didn't do it myself. So I'm on every platform, but as you know full well, it is near impossible to manage and run every social channel. So here's my logic of why LinkedIn should be one of the platforms you prioritize. If you look at TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all of the other channels, with the exception of LinkedIn, with the exception of LinkedIn, all the other social channels are attractional channels. All of them. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, if you go on Instagram today, you can't get in front of the right people easily. If you go on X today, you can't get in front of people easily. Why? Because it's your content that has to do the work. If I said I'm going to look and create a business and I want to target executive coaches, I can't find them easily on Instagram. I can't find them easily on Twitter or X. I have to post content. Yes, of course, I can find a few, but I have to attract people with my content, which fundamentally makes it a much more difficult platform. With LinkedIn, I can search and find people, executive coaches, by location. I can find them by how long they've been in business. I can find them how far away they are from London. I can find them in much more accurate detail than any other platform. So why LinkedIn? Well, number one, it's not an platform. And this is fundamental because if you're getting started and you start on Instagram and you start on LinkedIn, you will be into revenue faster on LinkedIn than you will be on Instagram. So why LinkedIn? Well, it's got 1 billion users. Pretty much everybody is on here because they're either looking for a job, they represent a company, or they're promoting their own business. So there's 1 billion users, 35 million plus organizations, 35 million users in the UK, 235 million in North America, similar numbers in Europe, similar numbers in Asia. You know, it's not everybody on the planet, but it's a lot of people on the planet. So, in terms of its size, it's more relevant and more focused. It's the similar size to Facebook and Instagram. The difference being is you can find the people. That's a major differentiator than the other channels. So I'm going to walk you through, and feel free to ask questions in the chat and say hi in the chat. I'm going to walk you through the basically the 5 quick ways you can find hot prospects. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to define what a hot prospect is. Now, we could say a hot prospect is anybody who fits your ideal client profile, the people you could sell to, but it doesn't make them hot. It just makes them the right person. So what we're going to do is how can I help you today find 5 different ways that you could find people who are more interested, more ready to buy, more interested in engaging in conversation than the average. So I'm gonna look at people in particular ways and show you different ways that you can find people who potentially are more open to talk. And then I'm gonna show you a methodology, a process to actually engage them. Because just because they're hot prospects doesn't mean they're gonna reply to you, because they might be complete strangers, and nobody buys from strangers. So, let's have a look at some of the hot prospects. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna bring my LinkedIn up. So here's my LinkedIn, right? And I'm gonna show you some real simple ways to find, there's me sharing my screen. In fact, here we go. I'm gonna show you some simple ways that you can find people on LinkedIn that might be more interested in buying than others. So the first off, right, I'm gonna look for people who are potentially engaging with particular types of content. So in this search bar at the top, I can put, um, I don't know, change management. So, I'm gonna search for a particular keyword. So I'm gonna search for a particular keyword. So you might have a particular keyword, right? And I'm gonna put this in, I'm gonna search under posts, right? So I search under posts, and then I can literally look here and go, okay, when was it posted in the last 24 hours? So now LinkedIn is gonna serve me the last 24 hours posts that talk about change management. And you can see there are a ton of different posts. And typically, you will find some posts, there's not a lot here, but you'll find that the top performing post is at the top. So it's worth looking at what are other people engaging with. And if they're engaging with change management, these people are going to be the most likely people you want to connect with, engage with, and build a relationship with. So, in other words, find your prospects by looking through the content around the topics you talk about and see who's paying attention, who's engaging, because they could be people, doesn't mean they're ready to buy, it doesn't mean they have any interest in you. It means that they are interested in the topic, and you can find them on absolutely anything. So if I go to cyber and attack, I can now find all the content that's referencing cyber and attack, and I can see which ones have got the most engagement and pay attention to those. So that's a first way to do it. Now, I will show you another way. Um, I'll just search in LinkedIn for a minute, and you've got content here, content type, newsletters. So I can now search for all of the newsletters that mention uh, social selling, say. I'll do that if I was doing it for my competitors, and I'll do it in the past week. Past month, none there. So what we can do is put management, and I can search by content type, and it will show me the different newsletters, and I can search through all of the engaged users of that content, and then basically grow those networks. So, Glenn said, do you have to put those search terms in quotes? Glenn, if there's multiple words, yes, you want to put them in quotes because you're looking for the phrase social selling. If I didn't put them in quotes, I'd get keyword social, so I'd get posts about social and posts about selling. So what you're looking for is to enclose the phrase you're looking for, if it's 2 words, so that you just get that. and then search through the search bar for any content and look through who's engaging with it, who's paying attention to it. One, that'll help you build a bigger engaged audience by connecting with those people. But two, if those people fit your criteria of ideal client, you can obviously progress them as prospects. So this is a really simple approach to finding people. It's not complicated, not difficult. You don't need Sales Navigator to do it. And Keith asked the question, is this a standard LinkedIn subscription? You can do some of this on a free account. LinkedIn does limit what you can do with a free account. Sometimes you'll have to. I recommend Sales Navigator just because some of the tips I'm going to show you, I might actually show you a few more than 5. If you stick around, I'll show you more than 5. So the first one is using the search terms at the top to basically look through the content to find who's engaging with what. Tip, by the way, this is also good for your own content research because you can look through and see what are people responding to, what are they not responding to. So put in the keywords, search, find the most engaged posts, look at who's engaging, connect, build the relationships, which I'll show you next in a short while. Another way to do this as well is let's go cyber. We'll use cybersecurity for this example. And in the search bar, so in the search bar here, we've got cybersecurity, and I'm going to actually change this to events. Now, I used to get hung up about this because I used to get loads of people hammering my events, scraping them and pitching them. And they'd send messages to people, oh, I spotted your event about this. Do you want this? Do you want that? It's a free country, right? You can target whoever you want, and it's in the public domain, so you can target whoever you want. What I got really miffed about is them using my name in their sales pitches, because some people got confused and thought they were representing us. But let's say, for example, there's all these cybersecurity events here, right? I could go onto any of these cybersecurity events, and I could look, and if I sign up for them, yeah, I'll be able to see who the attendees are. So any of these events, I can search through, look from the events, see who the site are, click into them, and I can search through the event. Let me just pick one of my own. I'll do it on one of my own just because I feel a bit shady doing it on somebody else live video, especially when I don't know who they are. So when you go to an event, yeah, this is my event that I'm doing next week on my profile if you wanna come. When you sign up to the event, you can click the attendee list, and you can look through the attendee list, but also you can search through the attendee list. Now, like I said, I would not recommend spamming people from the events, and I would not recommend just blind pitching people or even relating the event. Use the event as intelligence to go, oh, well, if Sam such and such came to that event, he must have an interest in this, so maybe he's a prospect for me. And do your own work to connect. Yeah, as you will annoy the event organizers if you spam pitch people, and imply some form of connection. I would look through here, let's just go, change management again. Put change management in. Like I said, the success of this process is not in the how to find them, it's what to do with them, and that's really where it matters, and that's what we're gonna look at in a second. So I've got change management here, and I've got a list of events, and uh, in the events, I can see all the people that are showing up. So I can look through these events and go, ah, they're the people. So there we go. 37,000 people coming to this one. I could sign up to this event and I could then literally find and search through and go, who are the people I want to talk to? And I've done it. So it's quite simple. That's how we do it. We look through events, and the reason why they're hot prospects is if they're coming to an event about a topic to do with what you sell, they're obviously expressing interest. They're obviously curious about it. So, like I said, don't pitch them and reference the event because that can be disingenuous. But if you see an event and you think, I can help with that one, then I can help the people with that one. Why not? Just don't imply a connection or anything like that because that will rub people up the wrong way. So, content, newsletters, events. So let's look at some more simple ones. Let's look at some really, really simple ones. So that's 3 we've done. I want to show you a couple more. So when we go to view your profile, and there's me on my profile, right at the very top, if you've got creator mode on, creator mode, yeah, as you post consistently on the platform, you'll accumulate followers. Now, followers are different from connections. Connections are the people who you can message back and forth and they've sent you a connection request or you've sent them and they accepted. Followers are people who've subscribed to your content. And so even if you post and you don't get mass engagement and you don't, go viral, you will pick up followers on a regular basis. So it's worthwhile you checking through who's a follower. So inside your profile at the top, so I've got 62,962 followers, and these include connections. But when I click in, so I can see here, I've got followers, and this is a list of people. Not all of these will be connections, and it's worthwhile you looking through to see. And you'll see the ones where there's a following, they're connections. But the ones that are follows are people who've chosen to follow me, subscribe to my content. And so it's worth looking through this list to go, out of all of the people who are in this list, are there any people here that I could be talking to? Sometimes people decide to follow your content, but don't want to connect, particularly high-level decision makers. They'll follow your content and stay in the distance. I got a speaking gig recently that I didn't even know the person was following me, but they've been following me for about 9 months. It's a corporate conference, and I didn't know until they messaged me and they said, I've been following for ages. And I realized we're not connected. She'd just been following me. So sometimes people are just following, hiding in the wings that you don't know are existing and paying attention to you. It's worth looking through your followers to find out who they are. So any questions on that one? I don't think so. I'm just checking the questions there just to make sure. I'll have a look in the comments on here just to make sure. There's hi, Andrew Barker. So let's have a look at a couple of others that we can do that are quite interesting. And Saima, I've got some suggestions for you in terms of how to convert them. So you can engage them, but you can't convert them. I'll talk about that in a little minute. So followers, number 4. Number 5, right? Actually, I'm going to give you 6. 7. I'm going to give you 7. Sorry, Team Maverick, I'm breaking the rules. Right. The next one is sometimes people don't choose to follow you. Sometimes they don't choose to follow you. They're just curious. So curious people are people who you've piqued their interest, but maybe they haven't come on the radar of a comment, a like, a connection request, a follow. They're just curious. And your content, your outbound actions, your comments on other people's posts generate a ton of interest, and a ton of interest that you probably aren't capturing. Now, you will need premium or Sales Navigator to do this, but every time you're active on LinkedIn, you are generating profile views. So you can see here on my analytics and on your analytics, you get these analytics dashboards. And in the dashboards, you get various different metrics. So if you're running a newsletter, you get who's followed your newsletter, and you can look through them. So your own newsletter, you can see who's following your newsletter. You've got search appearances, bit irrelevant these days. Your follow account, which we've just looked at. Post impressions, we'll come to post impressions in a minute. And then we can look at profile views. So again, you need premium for this, but profile views is a great place. Richard Johnston, I think you're on the webinar. Profile views is a great place where you can check out who's looking at you, who maybe you haven't connected with, they aren't following you. Look for who those people are because they're showing a degree of interest, and it's worth your while just dropping them a connect back if they're relevant, or dropping them a message back and say, thanks for viewing my profile. Do you want to, is there anything I can help with? It might seem like an obvious thing to do, but you'd be surprised how many people don't do that. So these are all little opportunities, little tiny opportunities, but most of you don't. This is the thing, these little things, most of your success on LinkedIn is not in doing one big crazy thing that just blows up. It's lots of little things and doing them really well. So looking at who's viewing your profile, seeing if there's anybody interesting there, following up their view, looking at your followers, all of that stuff is where it works. So look through your profile views, see who's there, see and follow them up. Makes perfect sense, right? To follow up the people who've paid attention to you or been curious by you. I'm going to give you two more, but these two more are for Sales Navigator. So I've excluded them, and I've excluded them primarily because not all of you've got Sales Nav, but I'm going to show you anyway. So inside Sales Nav, you have a couple of filters that are really, really useful. So I'm going to show you them, but I'll have to expand the filters. So on Sales Nav, you've got all of these filters here, tons and tons and tons of them, right? And the other thing you can do on Sales Navigator is, when I find it, where's it gone? Why can't I see it? Is inside Sales Navigator, if you've got a company page, you can actually search for people who follow your company page. And it will show you all of the people who follow your company page. And again, there will be people who are following your company page. You don't know who they are. You can filter and find out who those people are. Another great filter. So this one's really cool for finding out who's hiding, looking at your company page and keeping an eye on your company page, who's following your company. Another one that's really, really good, really great, you can do the profile view here, is the buying intent. Let me find it. Buying intent. So the buying intent will show you, you can search through LinkedIn, and these people have an interest in my company, Maverick. They're exploring it. They've been to my website. They've had a look. LinkedIn knows when somebody's checking you out, shall we say. So I can go in here and go, how many managing directors work for companies that are curious about Maverick? So there's 13,000 managing directors where they're paying attention to Maverick. Oh, well, actually, I want them, I only want, say, small businesses. 1,500 companies, 1,500 companies with a managing director. So pretty much at the top, these are 1,500 people who are paying attention to some degree to Maverick on Sales Navigator, on LinkedIn, and I can search through and find them. Now, does it mean they're guaranteed dead certs? Does it, heck? But they are more interested than the average person. There's a bit of interest. They might have looked at some of the content, consumed content, checked some people out. It's not just one thing that they're doing. They're doing multiple things. So it's not just, they've looked at a post. The post appeared in their feed. They looked at somebody's profile. It's a pattern of behavior. It's multiple things. So this company here, high buying intent, where's they gone? High buying intent. And I can see what the activities are for that company. and it will show me that they're engaging with the company page. So it's not just one engagement, it's multiple engagements, but this company is engaging with our company page. So again, some Sales Navigator tricks there. Glenn, to find the only ones that follow. No, you can't on your profile. That's the pain. The other thing you can do with Sales Navigator, though, is you can filter by who's viewed your profile, who's a managing director, an account with high buyer intent, and I can see who all those people are. So there's a few different ways to put together and find the people who will be interesting to you. So it's really important that you look at and use these filters to find who's the low-hanging fruit. Yeah. One more before I show you a process. One more. So if you've got Sales Navigator, LinkedIn will supply you with a list of leads every week that it thinks could be up your street. Based on what you're doing on LinkedIn, it will populate a list of people and say, hey, these are people maybe it's worth talking to. There's 100 here, and we think these could be good people for you. Go have a look. Most people don't do anything with these people. They collect, the list appears in their inbox, and they do nothing with it. Some of these will be first degree connections, some of them won't be, but it's worth doing it. LinkedIn's detecting some pattern of activity that thinks that these could be interesting for you. And as long as you're not approaching LinkedIn a bit with a scattergun approach, LinkedIn will get pretty good at predicting who could be interesting for you. Get pretty smart at figuring out who you really want to talk to, as long as you are consistently focused on who you want to do business with. Because if you're not focused and you're 1 minute I'm over here and 1 minute I'm over here, it's not going to work. You're going to struggle to make it work. So these are some of the quick, simple ways that you can do it. Number one, finding people who are engaging with content. Number two, finding people who are engaging with newsletters. Number three, finding your followers. Number four, profile viewers. Number five, the people who are following your company page. Oh, I've missed one. People who are registering for events. 6, buying intent. Searching by the buying intent on Sales Navigator. Yeah. So all of those filters you can do. So I've massively given you more than 5, and I'll probably be in trouble with the team now, but I'm the boss, so I get away with it. So how do we engage these prospects? What are we going to do to actually, we can't just go, what we want really is we want people to go, yeah, I want your stuff. How much is it? When can we start? We want an easy sale. There's no such thing as an easy sale these days, right? Because everybody's being pummeled with pitches. So you've got to do something different. You've got to win some trust. You've got to build some relationships. You've got to put the work in, particularly if it's a high value deal. People don't just make decisions on whims. And the bigger the company is, the more drawn out the decision-making process will take. So if you're a small business owner, it's probably quite personal for you buying something. It's a personal decision. There's your own feelings involved. There's your business decisions involved, but you can make a quick decision. If you're a marketing manager of a large corporate, or a HR department, or a learning and development department of a large corporate, you've got to go and get sign off. You've got to advocate to other people. There's a ton of different things that you've got to do to make that deal come together. It's not as simple as messaging and it's done. You're welcome, Matt. Yeah, there is no easy sale. There's either, and the reality is, you either invest in people up front or you invest in people post. What most people are doing to try and sell at the moment is they're pummeling people with pitches, and if anybody bites, small number, what they will do is love bomb them people. Then they will invest in those people if there's any signs of responsivity. The problem is with that is you get the tiniest amounts of results. I heard somebody say the other day, only in sales can you get a 90+% failure rate and it be deemed successful, right? So if you're going outbound trying to find the low-hanging fruit, there is a limit on your success in doing that. So I want to just talk to you about social selling. If you want to really succeed at this, it's not about spamming people, right? Yes, you have to talk to people. Yes, you have to message people, but how you do it, and when you do it makes a real difference. So yes, I could show you today how to send out 1,000 messages and pummel people with pitches, but would it be successful? You might pick up 5 or so bites and convert 2 things. The success rate is so small. But if you start to think about this differently with a bit more focus, a bit more relevance, a bit more personability, building some relationships, you can actually nudge that up from 0.6% into your kind of 5, 6, 7%, 10%. One of our team gets 17% reply rate, successful reply rate. In other words, meetings booked from her LinkedIn outreach. Why? Because she's not trying to do it all in one message, all in one approach. So let me show you our process of social selling, and then I'll show you the steps you take. And I'll give you an overview of that. And if you want to know more, we have a program and a course on how to do this, and you can message me for details. So social selling is more than messaging. It's a bit of all 3 things here, right? Social selling is a bit of personal branding, it's a bit of content marketing, and of course, it's having conversations with prospects. It's the 3 things together. So what I see a lot of on LinkedIn at the moment is a lot of people spending a lot of time on content and neglecting conversation. I see a lot of people trying to build a personal brand, but not trying to convert. And so if I just point this out, right, you'll see a lot of people sharing selfies and stuff about their story and their journey, and those posts blow up and people get known as, I got loads of followers, but every post is about them. That's personal branding style approach. Most of these people struggle to actually convert anything because people fall in love with their stories, not what they're selling. And so these people, if they go to too extreme, they tend to develop what I call Paris Hilton syndrome. Everybody knows who they are, but nobody knows who they are from their expertise or for a purpose. They're famous for being famous. There's no subject matter expertise being developed. It's just, oh, they post pictures of themselves and tell people about their day, and I kind of like what they share. But it doesn't help people buy. The content crowd is, let's put out all this amazing content, reach people, and hopefully some of that will drop down into leads. The problem is you have to massively invest in content, far more than most people have the time to. The average content creator will spend on LinkedIn to try and make their posts go and do all that stuff. They will be spending somewhere in the region of around 20 hours per week creating content, engaging with people to amp it all up, with the aim that some of that will drop down into pounds, shillings, and pence. The problem is it does drop down, but the average revenue of a full-time content creator is less than $50,000 a year. In the US, that's about an average wage. In the UK, it's a slightly above average wage, but it's not megabucks. So the perception is that this is really successful because you got all of this love and attention, but actually it doesn't drop down into pounds, shillings, and pence. Then you have the outreach gang who are just hammering it with pitches. And actually, compared to the personal branding crowd and compared to the content marketing crowd, the salespeople are probably the better off people on the platform because they're selling something high value and have a consistent approach to conversion. But social selling is a mix of all 3. It's a bit of personal branding to help people get to know you and like you and trust you. It's a bit of content marketing so you can demonstrate some value. And of course, it's following up with conversation and moving those conversations into an offline meeting. And that doesn't have to be salesy if you do it right. It doesn't have to be pitchy if you do it right. So I want to show you how to do it right. 3 types of users on LinkedIn. Hopefully we're all good for time and I'm not putting you all to sleep, but there's 3 types of users on LinkedIn. Posters, lurkers, and zombies. Posters. Let's start with this group. Posters are the people who post on a regular basis. They're me. They may be you. They're the people you see in your feed. They're the posters, right? They're posting on a reasonably regular basis. They're not just reposting company propaganda. They're actually creating content. Right, here's the bad news. Most of the advice you've been given is wrong. Posters represent less than 2% of the LinkedIn audience. 2%. So the advice you'll see online is go and comment on their posts and do all that stuff. And you can do that if they're posters. But 97% plus of your target audience will not be posting. I can guarantee that now. 90 odd % of them won't be. They will be lurkers, the majority of the LinkedIn network. They don't post a lot, but they consume content. And so getting connected to those people is really good. Getting connected to lurkers is brilliant. Downside is they're not going to comment so much. They're not going to like so much. So if I fill my network full of posters, I'll blow up. I'll be huge on LinkedIn. But they're not the people I want. They're not the majority of my customer base. My customer base are lurkers. They're people who watch and observe from a distance. They check out your profile. They look at all the things that are going on. But they're not posters. They're busy doing other things, but they're on the platform. And then the zombies are living dead, basically. They're alive in the real world, but on LinkedIn, it's like they've died. They've not logged in for months. They've not commented. They're not engaged. There's no signs of life. Yeah. And I don't mean that derogatory to people, but it's just they don't use LinkedIn. Sales Navigator allows you to find these people, but what a lot of salespeople do is obsess about growing their network and never look, and they fill their network full of zombies and then go, why do I get no replies? Lurkers are the sweet spot. Lurkers are the sweet spot. They're the people who buy. Ask anybody. The most of your sales, ask anybody on LinkedIn who posts regularly, the people they convert are usually lurkers. The posters are generally here for their own purpose. They're here for their own objectives. They're coming to LinkedIn with a plan, probably to sell and market something. The lurkers are coming browsing and discovering and exploring. So whilst it's great to fill our networks with active people because we get more engagement and blah, 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 these are the people who actually pay us. And if you fill your network with these, you'll be very well off, but you might not have the most popular of posts. You'll have popular posts, but not the most popular posts. So just factor that in. So this is what I want to show you, the 7 steps of social selling. So we teach this in our academy and in our accelerator. It's a logical step-by-step process of how you manage prospecting, developing relationships, building relationships on LinkedIn. And the lurkers, Lara, is the majority. It's about 90 odd %. It's like the majority of the user base. Last count, it was 1.5% of the LinkedIn user base who were posters in the last 30 days, 1.5% globally. The rest are predominantly lurkers. And then you've got some zombies. But LinkedIn is doing more and more to get rid of the zombies. So inactive accounts are being archived after so long a period. So you're seeing less and less of those dormant, almost abandoned accounts. So the 7 steps of social selling is a way to take your leads on a journey. You got these hot leads. They're not going to literally convert instantly, right? Some do, but not everybody, right? So here's the first thing. We've got to find them. So I've given you 5 or 6, 7 ways to find them, right? Then we need to track them. So we have a social selling tracker for this, but you need to track those people. Why do you need to track them? Well, fundamentally, do not rely on your memory. You will forget people. And the key is it takes on average now about 7 to 14 touch points, depending on who you subscribe to for stats, 7 to 14 touch points to get the first meeting. 7 to 14. But don't worry, don't stress. I'm going to show you. So you want to track these people from the very beginning, so you never lose sight of them. If it takes 7 to 14 touch points, the last thing you want to do is go, oh, I found a load of people, and then you get busy for a few days and you can't remember who those people were, or you can't remember where the dock is, or you lose sight of them. So many people start well and it comes apart because they can't remember who's who, where they put them, the works. So track them. So we use a social selling tracker we built for this to give you steps that accompanies the model. So you track them. Every action you take, you update the tracker. So you never have to rely on your memory and go, where was I up to with that person? And it makes it much faster to engage the prospect. You want to get connected. Simple, get connected. It's very important. Get connected. Now, all this time that this is going on, they're checking out your profile, your content might be appearing in their feed. So there's a whole load of kind of subtle touch points happening where they're seeing your profile, seeing your content, all that kind of stuff's going on. Then we want to attract their attention. We want to get to know them and them get to know us. So we need to kind of break the ice a little bit. So we need to be saying, the thanks for connecting message and interacting where we can. And there's various different ways you can do that, from DM comments to thank you notes to little blogs and articles you can share, all sorts of things, because a lot of these, the majority are not going to be posting content. So yes, you can comment on their post, but when 97% of them don't post, it's pretty pointless. So there's a list of different things that you can do with those people to engage them. But this phase is primarily about breaking down the barriers, and it's being more personable. It's about just them get to know you and know who you are and know your name. Now, if you're selling a 500 quid thing or a 200 quid thing, this process is pretty pointless. And I'd also say to you, if you're selling a 200 quid thing on LinkedIn, you need to be thinking about your time investment. Because if you're trying to sell a 200 quid thing, this process, by the time you've finished, it may cost you in your time. If you value your time and you're not selling yourself for below minimum wage, it might cost you more than the profit on a 200 quid thing. If you're making a 20% margin, so you're making 40 quid on a 200 quid thing, and you value your time, it might cost you 30, 40 quid to run this process. So think about it carefully. What are you selling? If I'm selling a 5 grand thing or a 2 grand thing or a 100 grand thing, it's worth my time investing in a prospect because the profit is there. And if I'm getting 7 to 8% conversion and I'm investing in, 100 people through this process in a month, I'm going to be more than making my money back for the investment. So we're breaking the ice down. So that's a couple of interactions, right? So if you value your time and the profit is in the work that you're selling, it's worth doing this process. We're talking about 5 or 6 interactions really in real life. So grow your network, attract their attention, a couple of things to attract their attention, nurture their interest. Yes, your content can do that, but you can share blogs, white papers, lead magnets, audio events, webinars. There's a ton of different things here that you can do to capture their interest, loaded polls, ton of different things here you can do to basically go, I'm setting myself up to have a way to talk to them. So they know who we are. They've seen and tasted some of the value of what we've got to offer in terms of free stuff and content and insights and ideas. Now it's about conversation. It's not pitching. We're going to start a conversation. We're going to ask them things. We're going to get to know them. We're going to interact with them in a very human and relaxed and informal way, not classic sales pitchy stuff. Some of the people will engage with that and say, yeah, I'm good with that. I'd love to know more. Or they start talking with you and you ask them for a time to speak. I run this every day on my LinkedIn and I pull out 3-4 meetings every day. Why? Because I'm doing all of these processes and it's like clockwork in my routine. I know every minute, every time I spend, every bit of time I spend on LinkedIn is pounds, shillings, and pence because I'm committed to a process. So it's conversation, start a conversation, and then ask for a time to speak properly. Shall we take this to Zoom for 30 minutes? It can be that relaxed. You don't have to kind of do that whole long-winded stuff that people are doing. A quid, Kevin, sorry, a quid is a pound or a dollar, equivalents of a dollar. So if you're selling something for £200, you need to manage your time because, you know, if you're making £40 margin on a £200 sale, is it worth your time doing some of these things? And there's a lot of people doing things on LinkedIn where it's probably not profitable if you're selling things for £200 or £300. You need a more volume approach. If you're selling over, say, £1,000, £2,000, and your margins are more than 25%, it's worth the effort to invest, because if you're dropping 2-3 calls a day and you can convert, you know, 20% of your calls, you're going to be basically pulling out clients every week. But it's worth the investment if the price point you're selling it makes sense. Otherwise, I've seen this, some people selling things for £300. They sell a couple of them a week, and by the time they factor in how much it costs them to do it, you go, you're not making any money. It's not profitable. You need to go to ads, or you need to go to a more volume approach. But if you're selling something for £4,000, £5,000, and there's a 20% margin, spending 6 or 7, doing 6 or 7 interactions to actually close a sale is worth it. It's massively worth it. And if you're into the 50s, 60s, 100 grands, it's way worth it, because the great thing about selling high ticket stuff, and particularly to large companies, is the barrier to getting in there also means that there's a barrier for other people to get in there, so you retain the work for longer. So it's worth it if the money's good. Any more questions? Let me just check on the questions here to see if... So Saima said, I find prospects but can't convert them. I engage with them before, but so Saima, one of the things that people will do is they will go to your profile multiple times, and your profile is the buyer education zone. That's where they learn about what you sell. That's how they build up the credible picture of you. So your profile has to be clearly communicating, this is what I'm selling, this is the value of it, this is why it matters, so that as you're doing the whole thing, they're building up a picture in their head. What classically people try and do on LinkedIn is let them, the one message, the first message, try and do everything, and it fails because it's too long-winded. But if they can pick up bits of information at various different stages, there might be 6 or 7 interactions you do over a 2 to 3 week period with 100 prospects, say. And that sounds like a lot, but some of them could be very simple, light touches. But because you're doing it in such a dispersed way, it feels more comfortable for people, and people get to know more about you, and it's less aggressive, it's more relaxed, and people feel more comfortable of it. Of course, from my side, all of it is deliberate. I'm planning the whole process. But from the prospect's point of view, it's more considered. It feels more relaxed. It feels more natural. It doesn't feel like a pushy salesperson. And you don't have to behave like a pushy salesperson either. You can be way more human and more of yourself. So I'm going to take questions in a second. I just wanted to let you know about this so that everybody knows about this. Thank you, Pam. I'm glad we're on the same page. I'm doing, from the end of this month, the 25th of this month, I'm doing a 30-day lead gen challenge. So there's 4 catch-up calls we're going to be doing, and I'm going to teach you how to implement these key, how to find people, but also turn them into live leads that you can book calls with. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to give you an exercise. You go do it, and we catch up the following week. So if you'd like to know more about that, I want you to message me on my LinkedIn. Come and find me on LinkedIn. Send me an email if we're not connected and say 30-day lead gen challenge, and I'll send you the details. You don't need to buy anything now. If you're interested, just message me on LinkedIn, 30-day lead gen challenge, and I will show you how it works and send you a little video to explain it. If you're interested, if you're not interested in it, no stress. But if you want to go, I like the sound of what you've just talked about, Dean. Can we implement it? Can we do it together? That's what we're going to do. Any questions before I wrap up today? I feel like I've gone crazy today and give you a load of stuff, but any questions today you've got whilst I'm here? Anything you think, oh, how would I do this? What about that? Or are you all linked out now? You got 7 ways to do that. 7 ways I showed you how to do it. Let's see if I can remember them all, right? Finding people who comment on posts. Finding people who engage with newsletters. Finding people who engage with events. Finding people who follow you. Finding people who view your profile. Finding people who follow your company page. Finding people who what's the last one? Buying intent on Sales Navigator. Buying intent on Sales Navigator. There's 8. Actually, there's 9. The recommended leads on Sales Navigator. So you came for 5. You got 9. I think that's a fair deal, right? So if there's no questions, here's what you need to do next. Yeah, here's what you need to do next. Come follow me if you want to know more about what I do and keep an eye on me. Come follow me, number 1. Number 2, if you want to go onto the Lead Gen Challenge or you want more info, DM me and I will send you the details so you can weigh it up and see if it's the right fit for you. And number 3, if you see my posts in your feed, send the love to Mount Olympus, the algorithm gods, and back my content if you've got value from this session. Yes, it does, Pam. It does work. LinkedIn is a great channel as long as you have your head organized. If you are not organized, there's no amount of gadgets that can fix you. If you are not focused, LinkedIn will be a mess for you. If you're not clear on what you want, don't expect your audience to be clear on what you want. You've got to approach LinkedIn with focus, with a plan, with a clear strategy of how you're going to take somebody from a stranger to a paying client. If you don't have that, you are just playing at it. It's hobby zone. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people can make money from people, messaging them every now and then. But if you want to take it serious as a revenue channel, you got to have a plan. You got to have focus. Anyway, 3 calls to action you need to do. Follow me. Thank you very much. 2, if you want the Lead Gen Challenge, drop me a message. And 3, support the content you see in your feed from me. Make me favorable with the algorithm gods. Lisa, yes, we've got some ads training. If you want to know more about how to run ads for conversion and things that will help you convert in a bulkier number, we've got some things that you can show you how to do that. We have some events that we do, paid ticket events, and we sell them online, and we have to do them hands off because the tickets are low price. So if you start putting human intervention into it, you wipe out the margin. So Lisa, yeah, drop me a message. And Kwaku, how much does what you're selling matter? Well, ultimately, you've got to have a product that people want. It's easier to sell into demand that exists than create the demand. So a bit of research, you can find out what's my skill set, what's my product, who needs it most, and then it's about how do I get to those people in a way that works. So Kwaku, it's demand first. Look for the demand and then figure out how you can fill it with your skill set, product offering, etc. And then just work a plan consistently, day in, day out, and away you go. Brill. I'm going to go now because I need a drink. Not an alcoholic drink. I've just talked for a long time. But listen, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate you all coming on and sharing the time with me. Appreciate all the support you give to Maverick and my content. Appreciate every last comment and like and all that kind of stuff. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and hopefully I'll see you in my inbox or on my follower list or on my feed. And